My Fedco order has finally arrived, part of it. So now we can finally talk about everything I'm gonna be growing in 2026. If you are new here, hello, my name is Rachel and I am in the mountains of Western New Hampshire, growing zone 5A, but after living here for a year, I think we're kind of in a 4B microclimate. We are on the northern slope of a little mountain and our prevailing winds come from the north straight out of the White Mountains. So I would say it's a bit chillier here than maybe the rest of town. Because we are gardening on the side of a little mountain, we do have our yard broken into little terraces, and then the rest of the property is just up the side of the mountain. We have about 13 acres of forested New England woods. So how I'm gonna structure this video is into different sections in case you wanna skip ahead. First of all, a review of 2025 and the good, bad, and ugly of last growing season. And then I'll go into basically our kind of whole property overview plan for 2026, just to provide some context for the Fedco order. And then I'll get into the actual seeds. And I'm actually gonna start off by reviewing the seeds that I have left from last year that I'll be growing again. We are just 2 people here, so a whole seed packet of most things is like many years worth. Then I'll move on to the big Fedco order for all of the new things that we've acquired. And then there'll be a brief section on willows because I placed a separate order with Vermont Willow Nursery, so I'll touch on those real quick. And then last, but absolutely not least, I want to cover the wildflower seeds that I have cold stratifying outside because wildflowers are going to be a big part of 2026. As always, some wins, some losses, a lot of losses as far as food goes, but a lot of wins as far as learning. Overall, it was so much fun. The best year ever. Just anecdotally, I've wanted to live a quiet, simple life in the country, growing things for years. And now it was finally the year. It was amazing. Garden wise though, we just kind of went basic. Year 1, I was like, you know what, this is utility. Let's just establish garden beds first and foremost and just get the basic things started, as well as some of the smaller perennials. Like I put in a handful of low bush blueberries, ever-bearing strawberries, asparagus crowns, just kind of those smaller things. Oh, honeyberries, can't forget those. Just to get them established, I really wanted to avoid putting in big things like fruit trees. I wanted to really live on the property for a full year first and really get my bearings with the land, track the sun movements, all the things, and just make sure I really knew where I wanted to put fruit trees before putting them there. As far as actual food yield, it was not good. Not good at all. Don't get me wrong, I'm still super proud of the garden and so happy for it. I think it did amazing despite it being its first year, especially since we're working with terraces that, you know, they've been kind of bare soil they were at least the summer before, so 2024. They were just bare soil getting baked, crabgrass aplenty. It just, you know, I knew we didn't really have great bones for the garden to work with. Hardly any organic matter in the soil whatsoever. So soil building was also a bit of a priority. But for the actual vegetable beds, we were a bit delayed in 2025 because we wanted to use our own lumber. We wanted to purchase a sawmill. So we got an Alaskan sawmill, but unfortunately it was like back ordered until early June, which is definitely later than you want to get your veggies started. So it was honestly, I think mid-June before we were able to mill up some logs and make the actual garden beds, fill them with soil, which I mostly harvested just from the forest. You know, we are very fortunate to have the forest as an amazing resource, which is just going to be a theme over and over here. But yeah, so much leaf mold. And so that was wonderful. Compost, garden soil, so incredibly expensive. So I was very happy that we were able to use the tractor to fill the beds. And the lumber was free. Lumber prices are out of control. But it did delay us. And so brassicas, for example, by the time they got into their garden beds, not only were they so root bound and withered, they were then met with a really insane heat wave and really intense drought that lasted the rest of the summer. So it didn't go well. The heat-loving peppers, they did great. We got a lot of hot peppers and some banana peppers. We pickled, we fermented. Tomatillos did pretty good. We got a nice big jar of salsa verde from them. Tomatoes, I would say we probably got 3 gallons in total of a combination of slicers and Romas. We got so few, I just kind of chucked them all together. A snap pea here and there, and some radishes, a few turnips, some small onions. I didn't thin them down to a single onion, so that was my bad. Again, not a lot of food production, but I saved a ton of herbs and wildflowers and things that are really highly medicinal. So I have a huge tea blend that I love. I love that. It's so rewarding to drink. It's amazing. Like growing things, preserving them, drying them, whatever it is. It's so much fun. And oh, carrots. We ate a lot of carrots. For some reason, the slugs, by and large, let them grow. I also planted a few things last fall, like garlic. I planted hardneck and softneck garlic. Varieties unknown. I just got them from my neighbors at their veg stands. And then mushrooms, I also put some inoculated grain spawn in between our garden beds as well as in a shady area. I did wine caps and Italian oyster mushrooms. Very excited. We also grew some inside this winter. We grew some blue oysters and lion's mane. One thing you can do with the spent fruiting blocks is seal them up and put them in the fridge. And then once the ground thaws, I can spread them outside as well. Hopefully there should still be some mycelium alive in there. That would be so cool. And then ground nuts, American ground nuts, totally native to all of North America as far as I'm aware. I've been learning about natives and the history behind some of them. American ground nuts used to grow everywhere throughout all the forests. It was believed that a lot of the early English settlers kind of decimated them back. That's why you don't see them in as much abundance as you could have historically, I suppose. So I found some at some public land nearby where in our own town, where they are just mowed into submission, mowed over. So a perfectly edible tuber, if you have never heard of them before. They're a tuber producing vining crop that makes a really beautiful flower. It almost looks like a pea flower, but like a big kind of cluster of them. I've never eaten them before, but again, in the spirit of and biodiversity enhancement of true natives, I might have dug up some of those that were just getting mowed over and put them right up the hill here, and I'm really hoping some of those sprout in the spring. And then the other thing I did last fall was order some cover crops. Cover crop / animal forage. We're getting ducklings and chickens in the spring. I'm very excited. Like I said, we didn't have the greatest soil situation here, so I bought some cover crops to try to remedy that. I placed an order with Territorial Seed Co. I got 5 things. I got a 5-pound bag of New Zealand white clover, a 5-pound bag of crimson clover, which I did grow this past year. Absolutely loved it. The bees loved it. Gorgeous. Nitrogen fixer. Hell yes. And then a 5-pound bag of buckwheat, a 10-pound bag of winter rye, and a 10-pound bag of oats. Happy to have cover crops. That was just such an issue for us this year. Next to no organic matter. And all we had was a thin layer of wood chips that I got from Bob's parents nearby for free. But for free, speaking of that, that was another thing that I really found a huge love for in the past year, was finding free garden resources. And again, I'm really lucky to have the forest to pull from here. But I found so much joy in having a need or a want, let's be honest, a want. But like trellises, for example. Okay, I'm growing vining crops and we need some damn shade out here. But I don't want to spend money on trellises, so I just took some overgrown saplings from the forest and made them into trellises, as well as wattle fencing and dead hedges. I can't tell you how much fun I've had finding, sourcing free things with my own 2 hands. It's been so great. Overall, again, a bit more anecdotally, but the joy that my heart and soul found in a garden. I knew it would be epic, and I just have to say, It absolutely was. Having a quiet life in the country, hands in the soil, working with nature, living within among nature, my resting stress level, normal baseline stress level, absolutely went down. And I'm not saying they're related, but we know they are. My mental health inversely went up, while yes. I just have to put that out there, because when I was considering this kind of lifestyle, if you have even the slightest bit of inkling and think that maybe it could do something positive for your mental health, yes. Now let's look ahead in the year to come, 2026. I am so excited because, like I said, held off on the fruit trees until now. But also, by and large, it's the year of beauty, flowers, going hard on the flowers. I'm very excited. I want to walk out that door and just be immediately enveloped into a poofy, big, flowing sea of blossoms. I just want the most beautiful cottage garden vibes right here in the yard on our terraces. So beauty in the yard, but also forest. We are moving some focus up into the forest this year, not only with more just ongoing forest management, because like I said, we have 13 acres, but this is not like pristine old growth New England forest. Unfortunately, it was harvested or logged for lumber up until about 20 years ago. Selectively logged, luckily not just totally clear cut. So we do have some old growth beauties, but unfortunately those openings in the canopy and just the, heavy machinery activity on the land in general, it allowed a lot of unhealthy overgrowth in the understory in a lot of places. It's patchy, but it's there. So that'll be a forever ongoing project. But by and large, what I want to do with the forest this year and this property in general is enhance the wildlife. It's probably the environmental scientist nerd in me. I geek out on natural ecosystems. I love everything about it. I don't know if you follow the Wildlife Homestead, but I really have been diving into his channel this winter as I've been researching on this kind of thing. And I'm just so intrigued with all of the species that he captures and is able to see on his property. And he's right in Quebec, a little bit north of us. So we should be seeing a lot of those same, mostly birds, I guess is what he really focuses on. But we should be seeing a lot of those same species as well. And we don't have that biodiversity. So I want to help enhance the wildlife biodiversity by focusing on native, like true New England as much as I can. Fruit trees are a little tricky, but flowering, fruiting, nut trees, shrubs, things like that. So Fedco for me is really great for that because they are located in Maine, which is next door to us. They largely focus on New England specific things, but of course they offer all kinds of things. And Fedco supports our local farms here in New England. So I feel good about choosing them for this kind of endeavor. Overall, lots of beauty, so many flowers in your face. And then beyond the yard and into the forest, wildlife enhancement, biodiversity enhancement, work on adding more species for our endangered specialized pollinators and butterflies and all the things that really can help try and bring back a healthier ecosystem to this property. All right, let's get to the seeds. Enough blabbing. Last year, I did a big order with Botanical Interests. I love their seeds. I can get them at my local garden center. All of these vegetables did really well for me last year, despite the torment that I might have given it. So I'm very happy to have seeds from most of all of these things. I just had to refill like broccoli and carrots, the things that we really tried to grow a lot of, and the slugs ate Easter egg radish. And then these burpee seeds, I have a few in here. These are just seeds that are left from my 2024 apartment windowsill garden. The viability was still perfectly fine on them last year, so I'm just gonna keep going with them. Why not? No point to throw seeds out. For turnips, I did White Lady, which admittedly I got this packet in the fall. I just wanted to try them out, and the cold weather came on so fast in the fall that they didn't make it through. So I haven't tried the White Ladies yet, but purple top, white globe, and white lady. And then spinaches. Oceanside, I didn't really get a harvest from either before the frost took it. That was another packet I got in the fall. Kales, I have 3. Lacinato or dinosaur kale. Dazzling blue, absolutely gorgeous. We did get a little bit of kale. I think we made like 1 sheet pan of kale chips and then a kale, some other kale meal. Bob loves kale. He says, now that I've had it cooked in certain ways, it's delicious. So just putting that out there. Premier blend. This one I liked because it had red Russian as well as lacinato and dwarf blue curled. So that's a good mix. Couple of cabbages. Copenhagen Market. And the ever fruitful red acre. The cabbages grew pretty well, but holy cannoli, the cabbage loopers or cabbage worms, whatever you want to call them. And the heat, we didn't get any. It was so sad. Brussels sprouts, we did get some though. I couldn't believe it. I've never grown these before. Last year was the first time, and not that I've only had one other garden once, 2012. Didn't think they'd do anything, but they did. We did the Long Island Improved. There's some left. We'll grow them. Why not? Cauliflower, just their standard snowball white. Broccoli, DeSico. Waltham. Pretty standard broccolis. And then leafy greens. Salad bowl oh, is that salad bowl? Yeah. Salad bowl lettuce. Little Gem. Butter Crunch, which is Little Gem, I think is just a mini Butter Crunch. Standard mesclun mix. Gotta love it. Snap peas. We did manage to eat some of those. Early Wonder beets. Oh, and the gourmet blend. Loved all of those. Yeah, I'm out of these, but these were great. Little finger carrots. Those were awesome. And then your standard Danvers carrot. Still got plenty of those left, luckily. Onions. Oh, no. This is a packet that's not open. I got this one in the fall as well, I believe. Yes, I wanted to do these in the cold frame, but I never did because it got too cold. That was another thing I did last fall. I forgot to mention. I built a huge, okay, it's 8 foot by 4 foot cold frame. I don't think I shared that with you guys. Yeah. I started a bunch of seedlings for it, put them in it, and then like the intense cold just kaboom. And the cold frame I think is gonna be really awesome in a couple months here for seed starting. Nice red bunching onion. Both of these varieties did well, but it was me that did not thin them down to individual bulbs. So we got some decent sized bulbs, but just not what one would hope for, plus drought. But a nice yellow Spanish and red flat of Italy. And now pumpkins. We put some spookies in, but the cold, I got this packet probably late August. The cold just took it before I was able to, yeah. Squashes. All 3 of these did okay. We only got like 1 of each that made it to full size that we could eat. Again, drought. And I planted them out back where we have one large terrace basically that is just sand because it holds the septic system, and so it only has maybe a foot or so of actual topsoil. And so when the intense drought came of summer, it just, everything just dried right up crispy. So this was no fault of the squashes. We'll be planting them somewhere else this year. But honey nut, supposedly a very delicious version of butternut. I would say it was, but I would like to give it another full chance. And then just classic spaghetti and your table king. And then standard Black Beauty summer squash, Hale's Best jumbo melons. They also went by the way of the drought, the same as the watermelons. But I'm just really excited to give all of these things another go with just like a year's better soil. I feel like things are just gonna go a lot better this year. Maybe I'm just being naive. Cucumbers, Space Master 80 and the Muncher. They did okay for us. It was so dry. We got a few cucumbers, but they were pretty woody. Pole beans, Triunfo Violetto and the Kentucky Wonder. Beans actually did quite well for us. So we'll do more of those. I did not grow nearly enough plants. I'm just gonna, you know what it was? Spacing. I was so timid about spacing. Like, I just gave everyone pretty much the max spacing range that it said on the back of the seed packets. And so a lot of my garden was just bare because there was so much space in between plants. And I think that did not help anything when it came to the drought and the soil drying out. So I'm just gonna go for the much tighter spacing. And plus, I've been watching a lot of Jacques in the Garden this winter as well as Epic Gardening. Obviously, they, you know, Kevin owns botanical interests as well. And such great info. And Jacques was like, you know what, I just always plant way closer together than they say, and it's fine. And so I'm gonna experiment with a lot closer spacing this coming year. I don't know, maybe some people would say don't do that. And now this packet, this is kind of funny. I had 3 seed packets from 2012, the last and only time I've had an in-ground garden before. And they were all from Seed Savers Exchange. They were Waltham 29 butternut squash, pretty standard, pretty prolific. They did great. Those we actually put some in the cellar and we're still eating through them. I'm realizing that 6 squashes, literally 6, is like way more than 2 people need for an entire year. So like 1 plant would have done us just fine. But I saved seed from that. So I have more of that. And then I had Brandywine tomato. And then these rattlesnake snaps, all from Seed Savers Exchange 2012. I expected none of them to germinate, and I think every single seed of all of them germinated. I only put a few rattlesnake snaps in the ground, so I did not get any because slugs. The squash, man, we kept some. I saved the seeds, and those Brandywine tomatoes, I saved seeds from them as well. In fact, they are, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, I was like, these guys are so prolific. There's no way I'd be crazy not to save them. Brandywine tomatoes are my absolute favorite. 12 to 15 of these left, and so I'm sure I'll be able to save some seeds from these in the coming year. Now, bush beans, I have these standard Blue Lake. These were from my windowsill garden apartment a couple years ago. And then Gold Rush, I love wax beans. Those are wonderful. And then standard Jade. These were both really nice producers for us. These mix of sweet bell peppers from the windowsill garden. They did okay this year. With the drought and insane heat, they loved that, obviously, but a little bit dry for them. We did get some, and I was able to preserve some and put them in the freezer, which was great, but I didn't save any seeds. Probably 20 left, and I don't care if they are red, yellow, or orange. It doesn't matter. I picked them at green, all of them anyway, so I never even saw what their final colors were. And then for hot peppers, we have a Serrano and early jalapeno. Great producers for us. And again, the tomatillos did well. We just did a standard green Grande Rio Verde. We still have lots of those left. Tomatoes. Oh boy. For big slicers, like I said, I did the Brandywines from 2012. And I did Ace 55 Bush and Cherokee Purple Indeterminates. For Roma, we have standard Roma VF from the windowsill garden and delightful San Marzanos, which did really well. This was where we got the bulk of our tomatoes. They needed more time. And then to cherry tomatoes, I had some Sweet 100s from 2 years ago. Those did really well. And then cherry falls I got for last year to grow in some hanging baskets. Not good in the drought, I can tell you that right now. Now let's move on to the herbs. Catnip, because cats. And then parsley, so this is a biennial, so I'm hoping well, we had 2 parsley plants that looked pretty good. One out front in the raised beds and one out back in the food forest. It's a biennial, so I'm hoping they both come back. Rosemary and thyme, those both I hope come back next year. They both appeared to do really well. This seed packet had an unfortunate ending, but I just had the 6 basil blend from Botanical Interest. Quite a few of those left still. Cilantro, tetradill, self-seeded everywhere. I don't even need, whatever. Arugula. We love arugula here. Be putting that in the cold frame soon. And then these are more of our perennial herbs. A couple of these established, but pretty small, so I don't know if they'll come back, but we have more seeds. Broadleaf sage, common oregano. That one I feel very hopeful will come back. It looked gorgeous. The flowers were beautiful. Lemon balms. There's a couple out there, but still a ton more seed. Like, what do you do with all these extra perennial seeds? Anyway, Greek oregano. I think one of those established. We're just merging into the flowers now. Tulsi basil, of course. Wonderful tea. Loofahs. Oh man, I started those way too late because of the garden bed situation. I'm gonna start those so early this year. They did end up, I had 3 vines that went pretty well and they developed fruits, but just, they didn't develop to maturity in time before the frosts killed them. So I'm just gonna start them way sooner. I'm gonna start them inside. I really, really want to make a year's worth of body loofahs and kitchen scrubbers, so I'm hopeful that works out. Then we have borage. Pretty awesome companion plant. Chamomile, which of course readily self-seeded itself everywhere. Poppy seeds from 2017 that one of Bob's friends picked for him, which I actually need to put those outside. I just heard this morning that they need cold stratification. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I'll give them that anyway. It won't hurt. And now flowers, I did the Northern Lights blend zinnias. These were so lovely, but again, so sparsely put. I put like 1 here, 1 here. No, ma'am, I want a sea of blooms. So that's what fell on the floor a minute ago. I just saved a bunch of, not all the seed heads. I left some outside for the birds and the insects, but I just grabbed some of the seed heads and put them in a bag to sprinkle them around places next year. And also I'll start more from seed and just really floof it up out there. And then I did knee-high sweet peas. Oh yeah, I'm gonna plant all those this year because like 2 was not enough. These sunflowers did amazing this year. They were so beautiful. A lot of these are multi-branching ones in this Heirloom Beauties blend. And the birds loved them. The insects pollinators were always all over them. And they've been wonderful to watch the birds eat the dead flower heads throughout the winter. And we're going hard with the sunflowers this coming year. And I saved a bunch of seeds from them. The birds planted a bunch of them. So did the chipmunks. And there's more. So very happy about that. Wild bergamot, I am fairly certain that this established pretty well out back. So very hopeful that that comes back. And now marigolds, and then just mesclun mix that I got free with the Botanical Interest order. Probably need to break into those this year. But I got a French and a Signet marigold, and these did so good. These were everywhere and very, very prolific. I saved so many of these seeds, like thousands of each probably, because they were just everywhere. And also, obviously I missed a ton of them, so I'm sure they're self-seeded everywhere out there, which is cool. Whoops. I don't mind. I want flowers everywhere. And the cabbage moths, the cabbage worms were so bad. But that's my bad. Again, with the spacing, I had like 2 marigolds in each of the 8-foot by 4-foot garden beds. Like, what the heck, ma'am? No. Next year, we're doing a full arsenal of marigolds just poofed around the entire perimeter of every brassica bed and just putting them everywhere. Oh, and I saved some more honey nut seeds from the one that did good. I saved sunflowers, saved dill. I saved seeds from these two, but I had these probably self-seeded around a bit too, but I saved what I could from the seeds that developed here. Nasturtiums did really well. I also planted garlic chive that looked really good. The flowers were beautiful. I'm really hopeful that one comes back for us. One of the seeds that I started in early 2025 when I started the disastrous onions was these alpine strawberries, this red and yellow wonderblend. They looked like shit the entire time they were in the seed tray, but man, they did so good. I put them outside, planted them way overcrowded because I was just like, there's no way these are gonna make it. They all made it. In fact, they all mostly, I think, tried pushing out fruit the first year, which I should have pinched them off. I didn't think about it till now. But they were sad, spindly little woody fruits. But hey, wow, that's kind of crazy that they fruited their first year. So obviously they do well, and they should here, alpine strawberries. So I'm very happy. I'm very hopeful that they come back this spring and I can give them some space and dot them around the entire yard, because that's food for the ducks, the chickens, the wildlife, all the things, as well as us, obviously. And then, you guys, Lacy Facelia. I bought these as a cover crop, and I actually have 2 full packets. Like, how many did one need? They were so beautiful. The bees loved this flower. So it's apparently used as a cover crop, decrease erosion and enrich soil. One of the best pollen producing flowers for honeybees and natives. Beautiful cut flowers. Like, how can you go wrong with this thing? Putting those everywhere. And then I have this fava bean cover crop I got last fall that I never ended up planting anywhere, but I will. And then lavender. This was the lavender. I think 5 of them looked like they did pretty well out front. 1 out back in the strawberry bed. I'm hopeful they come back. These next 4 are packets I also got last fall but have not gotten to enjoy yet. 2 flowers, both alyssum. A lettuce, Marvel of 4 Seasons. I have heard good things. I'm excited to grow that one again. Probably gonna do that one in the cold frame because it's very cold hardy. And then broccoli rabe I also got for the cold frame, but didn't get to enjoy them yet. Just some Cosmo seeds I saved from dried flower heads in Bob's parents' garden. But I think that's it for last year. Now let's get into the new things for 2026. First of all, I have a small handful of seeds that I picked up from the garden center the other day. Just a mix of, nope, not a mix, mostly all flowers. So I'll just run through these real quick. Jacques in the garden inspired me to try a Mexican sunflower. Those apparently get huge. We'll see how it does here in the cold. I got a hyacinth bean just because they look super cool and I want to see them. Butterfly pea for those fun blue and purple drinks. Some verbascum. We do have a native yellow wild verbascum or mullein that grows here, but why not pinks and purples too? Pansies. I got a Swiss Giant blend. I just really want some early spring color, so I also got some Johnny Jump Ups. These for me are very nostalgic. They remind me of our morning forest walks with my grandmother. She went for one every day. And I think I got all of these for spring blooms as well. And all perennials. So not all of these, but most of these are perennials. So should come back. The tall maximum blend snapdragons, magic carpet blend. Oh yeah, so let's just side by side. We're just rounding out all the colors of snapdragons. Maybe there's more, I don't know. And then delphiniums. Look at that beautiful blend. These are Pacific Giants. Let's see how they do. Now, the Fedco seeds. Here we go. So I'm gonna go through these. I have them organized just like the other seeds, starting with vegetables and working our way back to the flowers and grains and other things. This is the in-person part of the Fedco order, as in I had mentioned I ordered live bare root trees and bare root plants that'll be shipping in the spring. So I'm gonna start with the seeds I have in hand and then go over to those. Right at the front here, we got onions. Fedco, no offense, but your seed packets are not as exciting, so I'm not gonna hold them up. I'm just gonna run through these real quick. I'll show you Fedco's picture of the fun things, or maybe the reason that I bought them. So, you know, certainly when we get to the flowers. But I got more onions. I got a red Weathersfield, New York Early for yellow, and then I got Lancelot leeks. I did not try to grow leeks this last year. I would like to try it out. Laurentian rutabaga. The Bold and the Beautiful Beet Blend, which looks pretty similar to the Botanical Interest Beet Blend I grew last year. I got Space Spinach. Purple Haze Carrot. We grew Botanical Interest's Cosmic Purple Carrot last year. But I ran out. But we really loved them, so I wanted to do more purple carrots. So I got the Purple Haze, which the colors actually look really fun on that one. And then coral carrots. And then Jacques in the garden also convinced me to try purple sprouting broccoli. So I got the variety Jacaranda. And I also got more green magic broccoli. I got Flame Star cauliflower. I'm very excited to try one of the cheddar broccolis. I have not tried one before, but supposedly delicious. And now a couple of pumpkins, 3 pumpkins. Howden, the Big Max, and the Long Pie pumpkin. And I got Ashworth yellow sweet corn. More sugar snap peas, because you can never have too many. This year I got a handful of dried beans because they are like the ultimate storage crop. I got Jacob's Cattle, Winfield lima beans, black cocoa, scarlet runners. Those are for the beans. You can eat the pods as well as long as they're young, but let's be real, those are for the red blooms for the hummingbirds. And then blue cocoa. Oh, we got black and blue cocoa. Okay. Ventura celery. I tried to grow tango that I got plant starts at the local nursery. I don't know. Maybe they didn't get enough water that they should have, or it was too hot or something. I don't know. Didn't go well. We're going to try that variety. Gaudi eggplant. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Peppers. Yes, I got a few different varieties. A Trident ancho hot pepper. A Carlo pepper. Resilient shishito. We like shishitos. Banana peppers. And then fish hot pepper. I was reading the history about fish peppers and it just seemed really cool to me, so I wanted to try those out. I got, how many tomatoes? Just 2 tomatoes. I got Sun Golds because those are like a staple cherry tomato that everyone grows and everyone raves about. And then black cherry. Now we're getting into the flowers. Here we go. Butterfly weed, which I see that needs to be cold stratified, so we need to take that outside with us. I got that in bare root plants as well. I don't know why I got both. Bee balms. I got Panorama Red Bee Balm and Spotted Bee Balm. Salvia, I got a Blue Better. Cleome Mix Spider Flower. Rainbow Loveliness Dianthus. Lighthouse Red Salvia. Vintage Mix Stock. Monstrosum Mix Straw Flower, Perennial Sweet Pea, Blue Vervain, Dondo Blue Ageratum, I know I'm not saying that right, Purple Top Verbena, Bachelor's Button Mix, Anise Hyssop or Agastache, Alaska Mix Nasturtiums, so just adding some of those variegated nasturtiums in. And now here we're getting to, I'm excited for the gorgeousness of these, but also I'm thinking about planting food for the wildlife and our chickens and ducks. So we have Love Lies Bleeding Amaranth, as well as the Opopio Amaranth, if I'm saying that right. Red Flint Adratum. Oh, another one of the, that goes with the blue one I couldn't pronounce. Ashwagandha, Takanagawa Burdock, Lemon Queen Sunflowers, and a gigantic packet of mammoth gray sunflowers. This is the one thing that Bob requested to grow this year. He said, can we grow some of those gigantic sunflowers? And I thought, heck yeah. Sunflowers are number 3 in our top 3 keystone flower species here in New Hampshire. Sunflowers are very important for the wildlife and our specialist pollinators. So I got a huge pack of these, but also these are the mammoth gray, so they're going to be huge, hopefully. So I'm really hopeful for a lot of wildlife feed as well as treats for our ducks and chickens. But also while they're growing in the growing season, I'm going to treat these like a wind block and a noise visual block from the road and plant them hopefully along the side of the driveway to block our prevailing winds and that road traffic and not have to look at the road. Give it a whirl. Ground cover / more feed for the animals. I got a ½ pound of alfalfa seeds and 2 pounds of Timothy hay seed. I do really want to try to grow any straw or hay that we need here. This could be a hilarious endeavor, and maybe something that's not going to happen this year, but I'm going to try anyway. This is definitely a really good forage for the ducks and the chickens, and hopefully I can dry some and make bedding. So that's like one less thing we have to buy in from somewhere else. And then there's 2 more in-person items that I got already, one of which was a 25-pound bag of biochar, which I am going to add to the fruit trees when I plant them. Hopefully it helps. I've never used biochar. I have no experience with it, but it looks like it could be quite beneficial and helpful for new trees. And then I don't want to use any herbicides or insecticides ever. But we did have quite a problem with ants and aphids here last year, and I don't want them to be a problem for the fruit trees, so I kind of want it to be preventative. This is an insect barrier, it's called. It's tanglefoot for trees. It just stops crawling things going up the trunks. I don't even know if this will be a problem for our fruit trees, but it was cheap enough, small enough quantity. I wanted to be proactive a bit just in case that does become a problem. That really is it now for the in-person stuff. I have my computer pulled up here because I don't have my full order printed, so I will be looking at that. All right, so 2 different categories essentially of things that will be shipped to me in the spring. And Fedco does that automatically based on where you're located. Starting with the vegetable side of things, I got seed potatoes, I got a pinto, Kennebec, and red Pontiac. And then I got Covington sweet potatoes, ginger, and turmeric. I got horseradish as well, but it lumped it into the tree. That's it for the vegetables. Now let's move to fruit, nut, and berry trees, shrubs, bare root plants, starting with the fruit trees, which honestly is probably the most exciting to me, I think. We got 5 different apple trees. 1 Black Oxford, 1 Cox's Orange Pippin, 1 Grimes Golden, 1 Northern Spy, and 1 Trailman. These are all on semi-dwarfing rootstocks. They'll be pruned small, so kind of backyard orchard culture style, and we'll be setting them up in permaculture fruit tree guilds, plants around it that have their different functions like benefit attractor, pest deterrent, nitrogen fixture, etc., etc. We're kind of cluster them together and make it a bit of that permaculture food forest vibe that I'm wanting out here and that we started a bit last year, but now we're adding in the big stuff. So those are our 5 apple trees. We got 2 crab apples, a Brandywine and a Hatchet Mountain, 4 pears, 3 European, a Bartlett, a Bosque, and a Dana Hovey, and then 1 Asian pear, a Hosui, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And then I got 2 Illinois everbearing mulberries, 2 sweet cherries, 1 Benton and 1 Black Gold, 2 peaches, a Madison and a Red Haven, 2 American elderberries, an Adams No. 1, and a York, 2 different varieties of table grapes, Bluebell and Vanessa seedless. Now we're getting into the flowers. I got a Dropmore Scarlet Brown's honeysuckle. It's a cross between two parents who are Native American honeysuckles. It's a non-invasive type, so don't worry, but apparently the hummingbirds love it. We have a lot of happy hummingbirds around here, so I want to support them, and it's beautiful. American hazelnut, I ordered 2 of those. A black walnut seedling, 5 balsam fir seedlings, they come in a 5-pack. 3 Allegheny service berries or June berries, whatever you want to call them. 1 button bush, 2 ruby spice summer sweets, 2 witch hazels, 1 spice bush, 1 sweet bay magnolia, 2 Rosa plena dwarf flowering almonds, 2 Nanking cherries, 1 white snowberry, 2 northern wild raisins or viburnums, 2 high bush cranberry viburnums, a 3-pack of new vintage yellow yarrow, a 3-pack of paprika yarrow, a 3-pack of our native wild columbine, swamp red milkweed. I got a 3-pack of those, which is one of our native milkweeds. Very important. Plant your milkweeds, people, your native milkweeds. I got 1 Mrs. Moon lungwort. That is definitely for the forest garden. 1 Russian sage, a 6-pack of comfrey. I did not get the sterile comfrey, so I know it readily self-seeds and can turn into a bit of a bully, but I'll be very much micromanaging it. And then last but not least, a 3-pack of stinging nettle. I have not found any wild around here, so I wanted to bring some in. Obviously, a lot of these have medicinal properties as well, which I am very much aware of and excited about. But wow. It has been my lifelong dream to have this long, beautiful driveway lined with cherry trees and crab apples. My heart stops for like a full-on cherry tree in bloom. Heart stops. And I am really excited to bring some of that to our property. It's gonna be so glorious. And I gotta tell you, I placed this order back on December 29th, and I had things in my cart for a couple of weeks before that, but I was just gonna slowly create my order through the winter. But after like the 4th thing sold out from my cart, I kind of was like, oh man, maybe I should order pretty quick. But of course, when you do that, you inevitably forget things. So I do have like a running list of things that I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I forget that? For example, Eastern red buds. How did I forget to include at least one of those in my order? It's okay. I will get some. Fedco, if you are not familiar, they do an in-person plant sale towards the end of every May, and it's like a thing. People from around the country descend upon Clinton, Maine to get the fruit trees and their bushes and the things. My brother usually goes every year. Bob and I definitely want to go in this coming year. So if there's anything that slips through our grasp. Now that we're done with Fedco, let's talk real quick about the Vermont Willow Nursery order. I ordered cuttings for 5 different willow species that are also going to be shipped to me in spring at the appropriate time for planting them. I went for all cuttings just because they're relatively cheap. You just get like a 12-inch cutting and you can just stick it in the ground very easy, supposedly. But Bob and I really want to get into basket weaving. Yes. I am loving making things with my hands, and basket weaving is just so intriguing to both of us. Willows are our 2nd most important keystone species in the plant kingdom, 2nd only to oaks, and then number 3 was sunflowers. But number 2, willows, incredibly important, and we do have some wild. I've found Beb's willows growing up here in the forest, but we just don't have many. But they are great, like biomass accumulators, great for carbon sequestration. They grow really fast, make great windbreaks or privacy screens, whatever you need. But of course, also basket weaving material. So I got 5 different species, just a mix of ones just for the beauty, which let's go through them. For the beauty, I got the Mount Osso pink pussy willow, and it is so pretty. Another one that I got was the Aquatica gigantea corso. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. But this one is a large grower, better for larger things like fence posts and making larger structures and trellises and things like that, windbreaks. Stream bank restoration if you need that kind of thing. I got some cuttings of Daphnoides continental purple, fast growing but small, very nice uniform twigs for basket weaving and give a nice purple color. And then Purpurea Dickey Meadows, which is another small, really nice uniform twig for basket weaving. And then Purpurea Packing Twine, which is a really fine, really sturdy, small willow that, like its name, can be used like to bind things. I'm excited for these. I hope they do well here. I hope at least some of them take and we can get our willow supply going. Oh, also it makes really good animal fodder. But yeah, basket weaving. Can you even, like, I never thought I would be that kind of person, but here we are. We also luckily have red osier or our native red twig dogwood. Found 3 of them right here around the house. So that can be used for basket weaving as well. Definitely going to practice on that in the upcoming months. But I think that's totally it now for inside stuff. So let's bundle up and let's go out and let's talk about those wildflowers real quick. Oh, we're going to have to do a little digging here. All right, but in here, I've been storing my outdoor seeds. Oh, and where'd they go? I brought our poppies. I brought our poppies to put out here with us. More seeds that I had from last year. 3 botanical interest, purple coneflower, white swamp milkweed. I could not get these to take. They didn't have enough light where I put them, so there's like a few more seeds in there. This year I winter sowed echinacea and a bunch of brassicas and maybe like one other flower, I'm not remembering, in milk cartons. Do some winter sowing soon. It's almost time for that, or it can be done anytime. These are just other seeds that I collected. These were all right from our walking path right in town. So we have I don't know if it's prairie or purple or dense blazing star, but it's one of the liatris blazing stars. Stunning perennial flower. Chicory I found in the wild. That is great for the pollinators and also a great food forage. Cutleaf coneflower, or one of the rudbeckias. This is one of our native wildflowers. This is our native woodland sunflower. I was so happy to come across some of those mature seed heads. This was actually in Newburyport, Massachusetts. I was walking on the rail trail there. So I grabbed some of the seeds. I really, really, really hope these take. These are the actual true native perennial sunflower I would prefer to have everywhere. And, you know, some annual sunflowers for their beauty, but definitely these for our specialist pollinators. So fingers are real crossed for those. I saved, we have white yarrow that just grows naturally here. I saved some seeds. And then an unknown flower that was gorgeous, and some of it was still blooming, which is how I noticed it, and some of it had gone to seed already while I was walking around Portsmouth, New Hampshire for my cousin's birthday. And I was like, I'm just gonna tuck some of these in my purse. That's what this crazy lady did, so I have no idea what that is. Joe pieweed. Look at all of those seeds. This is a really important, beautiful, butterfly-loving native that grows in like kind of moist marginal areas, along stream edges or ditch edges, sides of the road. These I just collected from the sides of the road. These are everywhere. One of the top monarch food items. What's in here? Oh, this is milkweed. You guys, our milkweeds were insane this year, and probably because they grew, you know, on this area. But just our wild native common milkweed. They were huge. They were almost as tall as me, and I'm 5'7". Saved so many of our milkweed seeds, and also spread a bunch already, and I mean tons of them. So I don't even know that I need any more. I don't know. Who needs that many? But why not collect them, right? So yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna spread the love on the milkweeds. Purple stem asters, goldenrods, and sunflowers are our top 3 keystone flowers, and asters is, I think, number 1. And purple stem asters we have all over the yard, but I want more of them. And then steeplebush. There's a bunch of this growing all through the woods across the road where there's a public walking path, and so I just went and grabbed a bunch. Those are gorgeous. That was it though. Which is like, it's plenty. It's a lot. I am gonna put some of those in milk jugs again to winter sow them. Last year I did that during maple sugaring season while we were standing out here just watching sap boil. It gave me something to do, so I'm gonna do that again. But it's almost time for maple sugaring, which is the first official harvest of our homestead, you know, in the calendar year. That should be like end of February into the start of March, whenever the freeze thaw cycle hits just right. Hopefully it'll be another great year for sap production. We only tapped 10 trees, but we got 5 gallons of finished maple syrup. I capped off 3 of it in syrup, 2 in syrup, and made 3 gallons of candy, something like that. We are still working our way through the candy, but the syrup is just about gone. We're down to our last 3/4 of a jar that should carry us right to the maple sugar season. But that's gonna do it for this video. My hands are numb. I gotta go warm them up. But that's more or less the bulk of everything that we're gonna be growing for 2026, and basically how we are adding finally the canopy layer, if you will, to our food forest, and just really amping things up for wildlife and just doing so many fun projects. So please feel free to subscribe, hang around if you're interested in all that. I always enjoy these kind of videos this time of year when we're all still kind of cooped up inside. They give me lots of inspiration and something to look forward to in spring, hopefully just around the corner. Thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to let me know if you plan on growing any of these items for the first time this coming year, or any tips and tricks you might have if you've grown them before. I always appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you soon.